Hello and welcome. Once again, Curry Kitten has turned up admirably early.
This is my way. If I turn up on time, that's late. Always have to be 15 minutes early for everything. That is on time, in my opinion.
I try, but I fail.
Disappointing. Could do better. It will say in your report.
Is that a new screen in the background with the video games on?
That is my little... You've heard, of course, of my very famous Tech Tuesday reviews.
I'm a fan of alliteration, yes.
It's one of them.
Oh, shiny.
It's a little 64 by 64 pixel, big pixel thing.
Very big pixel.
Yeah.
It's like jumbo LED pixels.
They call it
Looks like it's a bit of a light cannon if you crank it up.
Yeah. It's fun though.
Oh my word. Drone. I have to pull my head out of a kind of different tech space because I was late for this show because I was trying to push a commit into OpenWRT and cocked it up slightly. I've been doing different tech stuff.
OpenWRT meant, but now I can't.
It's wireless router something or other. Anyway, I've got it on a whole bunch of kit because I quite like stuff to not die when it reaches its we can't be bothered to release a new firmware date. That we can't be bothered to release a new firmware date for networking kit kind of signals now anyone can take advantage of you. So it's kind of nice to be able to put your own images on stuff. And it developed into a bit of a hobby when I decided to try and go a bit faster. So I've tried to run 10 gig switches, and this has necessitated a lot of random AliExpress purchases, kind of similar to the drone stuff. And then partial responsibility for the state of that environment. It's been spicy.
Hello,
Jack.
Sorry,
Hello.
I'm late. I've been to the hospital and back. I'm a bit wiped out, so I'm not 100% with it. But I was watching and I saw it was only you two, and I did message Frank.
I did have gadgets that I was going to talk about in a kind of a tech adjunct way, because I found this weird little computer in a computer. Have you ever thought that one computer is like way too simple? Well, maybe you've considered putting a computer in your computer. This is like a KVM that you can attach to a regular PC. So if you run servers, you might be familiar with having a remote console and you connect to a website and it's like you're plugged into a monitor in the web browser. Well, this basically does that. It's got an HDMI capture port and it's got an Ethernet jack and it's got some USB ports. And it's even got a USB header on the back you can plug into the motherboard. So you can plug this in and it basically pretends to be a keyboard and monitor and captures the HDMI and feeds it out via a web browser app that it runs. And there's a tiny little OLED screen there as well that tells you when it's up and running what the address is that you can reach on the network. And it's kind of cute. And it takes the power over Ethernet if you want, or you power it over USB. And it includes a bunch of fancy little headers. So you can actually plug this into your motherboard like reset and power button, and you can toggle the power via the network as well.
Well, that's
kind of cute.
Fun.
Yeah, it's cute. And they're about 50 quid from AliExpress, and I was following some geezer who was trying to build a version of Debian for it, so you didn't have to use some rando's image that they put together, and it was all nice and freedom respecting. And yeah, it works. It's a micro SD card, 32 gig card to boot off, and you're done. And then your cheapo desktop PC has all the fancy functionality that you normally pay, thousands to get from a server. Just kind of neat.
Back in my day, KVMs had serial connections, not fancy schmancy HDMI capture.
That's actually got a UART on it as well. So if you really want, you can do UART into a web browser with that. Nice. Should you want to? Yeah, fun little gizmo.
How are you doing, Jack? I'm surprised you went to hospital and they said, "Yeah, you can go home."
You look like a picture of health. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, no, it's just a long old drive, and yeah, I'm currently doing the Zoom thing of I am in my pants as well. So I cannot get up from my chair.
Well, we thank you for at least wearing pants because
Yeah,
it could be worse.
I know it could be absolutely horrendous. I don't know. I'm just making sure that my address isn't at the yeah. My address is now on display. I'm still building the 3D printer. I would show it to you, but I cannot move from my current spot. I picked up some. I picked up some HGO2s from
Nice.
Magical Pencil. They're very lovely. I'm a little bit concerned though because I've got astigmatism in my left eye. I'm finding the sort of adjusting the prescription not quite, and I'm slightly concerned that it may or may not give me headaches. I might be.
That's the box goggles.
I'm back to the diopters. I ordered a new diopter because one fell out. Like you got the frame. It's the same company that you recommended. You know the Rio lenses in your video curry kitten, and they're a Hong Kong company, and you send them. Weirdly enough, I contacted them and I was like, I only need one lens because my prescription's changed. Could have really done with two, and I could order the lenses individually through them directly, cheaper than just getting a set of two new ones, which I thought was really weird. I was like, yeah, I was just like, yeah, and that, of course, my left eye is the worst eye. That's the one with the astigmatism. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah. So I'm worried I'm going to get headaches. You know, but man, my eyesight's just
Good news
getting
is
worse.
you don't have them on for like more than 3-4 minutes at a time, do you? So
Yeah, true.
hopefully not.
Yeah, it's just like it seems all right because you can you can up the prescription on it and it seemed pretty clear, but it just didn't quite seem right. It's a bit weird. So I'm very back in his natural environment. I know. Thank you.
What's with the new goggles then?
The other ones were Magical Pencil has got a set of HD Zeros, which are lovely. They're so comfortable.
I know.
And
They're my favourite goggles.
yeah, and I've got V3 cores, and what had happened, I was having problems. My video kept cutting off, and it would go from like whatever I'm watching just to a black screen. And what it was they put a little bit of glue in the front of your goggles for the ribbon cable that connects the DVR to the actual LCD drivers, and because it was just a horrible angle and glued, and it was like a 90-degree angle, it had like put this like really like horrible crease,
like a shear force.
Yeah, perfect shear of you know, and obviously like
in half.
yeah, and that crease eventually just cracked and just split and it didn't help that like my goggles had been opened several times because obviously it had because they're V3s, I had the whole power issue with the rolling like shutter and everything, and it was like remove this one component, and then people were still having problems, and then it was like now you've got to remove another component of the DVR board, and you know, and stuff like that. So eventually, and then I sort of like got tired of. I put in a regulator in order to run the fan, because now and again, I'd have like a bigger 3S pack, or use a 4S pack to like regulate like for a little pocket pack and stuff, and putting the fan on in the winter and stuff. It meant that I didn't have to keep plugging the balanced JST in and stuff. So yeah, I'd like done a few mods, had to open them a few times, and eventually it just cracked, and I was able to like tap, and I looked like I was just like hitting myself in the head.
Can
like
you not
tapping
replace
it.
the ribbon cables? Because ribbon cables should be commodity items, shouldn't they? Should be.
Yeah, I did.
To a penny.
The lovely Patrick, if you email Fat Shark support, they'll ignore you for the longest time. And eventually, the lovely Patrick from New Zealand, I believe, or Australia, I'm not too sure.
Both countries are lovely.
Yes, somewhere down there, he got back to me and sent me a new ribbon cable for free. And I was able to then repair my beloved Fat Sharks. And yeah, I mean, I did repair my ribbon cable and got it working, and I borrowed a pair of goggles for kind of emergency things from Painless. But I don't know whether you can see, but yeah, I done some. Oh god, that is not good.
It's a small thing to focus on.
Yeah. Oh my word.
In a darkened room.
I know.
We can see him.
Well,
I
given
know.
that most of our audience are audio, do you want to tell us what you're waving around there, Jack? You're waving around something very close to the camera. Oh my word!
Yeah, that is basically
his tiny appendage.
Yeah, it was.
Right in front of the camera.
Yeah, it was a ribbon cable. What I'd done was I'd scraped away at the ribbon cable and used some tiny wrapping
you
wire.
tried to do solder bridges.
And bridge, yeah, and it worked. Fair play to it. And then I realised, oh shit, the glue, because it was in the depths of winter, was UV curable, and there wasn't enough sun, so I just had to leave
British
it
problems.
in there. But you can see the horrible, that like 90-degree angle. It really is a very steep.
And something like that just should be
horrible
like a
angle.
20p on AliExpress component, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's a very weird one because obviously it does the whole like one side's exposed thing and it flips to the other one and doesn't have a twist in the cable, and also it's staggered, so it's very sort of like Z-shaped cable. So it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
I
think over time in radios, people took real issue with those. If you look at a lot of radio reviews through like 23 and 24, people were pushing the manufacturers to stop using ribbon cables for that reason and to move on to using just wire connectors with, either JSTs or DuPonts.
Yeah, or Molex.
Yeah. Mini Molex, where you call it Pico Blade, anything that isn't a ribbon cable, because the number of cycles you get off a piece of wire is immeasurably larger, and the fatigue rating is just so much higher for a bit of wire versus a ribbon cable. So if you are going to ever take it apart more than, say, 2 times, it's really nice to not have ribbon cables.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of goggleness, Curry, you've released a new video, IPC, baby. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I showed you some stuff on it last week, although some of it was a bit of a slideshow. That is my video of me flying the RunCam VRX module, which I then found out records into my goggles automatically, which is quite handy. But I didn't know that at the time. So after 2 flights, I took the SD card out of my goggles and put it in the GoPro because I didn't have a card in there. Yeah, that was all right. That was a while ago now. That was actually this time last week. I think I flew it the first time.
Have
This
you
week
been
I flew.
playing with it over the last week?
I've been playing with the DJI O4 quad,
Ooh,
which does seem magical in what it
welcome
can
to the
do.
dark side.
Yeah, I was trying to make it like go far enough or behind enough stuff to actually make the video degrade, which is tricky because it's only a 65mm whoop, so I can only fly it out like a minute before I have to come back again. But I flew it down this. I tried lots of things. I flew it like round the trees and round there. It's like, okay, nothing's happening. It's still 50 megabits a second and it's got full signal. And I eventually flew it down this track, and this track sort of goes like this, left and right, and there's trees either side. So as you go further, there are more and more trees lined up. So I'm going along, and I'm looking directly at the 4 bars, and it dropped a bar, and I'm like, yes, I've got it. I've got something here. What I hadn't noticed is that the Express LRS receiver was now at minus 107 dB because it wasn't enjoying the fact I was behind a lot of trees. So when the radio squeaked like RC critical, I was like, "Oh, better turn around."
Yeah.
At that point, I dropped it down to 2 bars. So
welcome to the reason why ALRS receivers have 1 watt output. It's DJI. It's you can't get there on analog. DJI, you need the 1 watt output power because it's actually pretty good.
I do. Unfortunately, I had 2 problems there. I had Radio Master Pocket Max was 250 milliwatts, I think, and I was using a 65mm whoop, and the ELRS antenna was just this piece of wire underneath it. So you're flying out with the null point pointing directly at you all the way. So the fact it got that far was actually quite good.
Well done. Have you still got the whoop?
Yeah.
Well,
not a one-way whoop.
No, it got back. I mean, it only just got back because it's like, you know what these things are like with a little 300 mile battery. You're like, yeah, go. And after a minute, it's like, I think it wants to die now. That's not good.
Why do I need 65% to hover? That's a bit much.
Yeah.
Stephen, it's your birthday soon.
Yeah. I'm gonna be
do
disappearing for my birthday. I'm gonna be
Oh.
having a bit of a party out and about. Steve time, party time.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, if you want to re-celebrate your birthday with the drone lot, maybe we can do something.
Yeah, sure. You've sprung this on me. I haven't made any plans. I generally, the older I get, the less I feel like celebrating. The more it just becomes, here we are again. Okay, well, I guess I'll maybe have slightly more beer than usual.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
I mean, we could do that. Maybe we could.
Alive.
I don't know. I can always come to London, and we just find someone with a big enough beer garden that we can fly some whoops and get kicked out from.
Sounds lovely. I think we should probably have an actual planning session for this, possibly with people who are eligible for planning privileges. I think mine and Jack's might have been rescinded, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah.
Well, I think Frank did send a message. He said, running late, I'll be there as soon as I can, but it will be at least 5 minutes past. I sent the message that I set enough about half past. It didn't look like it had gone through. I don't know where Frank is now. So much for 5 minutes late.
That's because I sent a very rude message because Noden was here. I was here early, as on time as I call it, sitting here on my own.
Curry, you were making noises about building some kind of flying dildo.
Was I?
Rocket
quad?
Oh,
that thing.
Yeah.
I just noticed it. It popped up on
They're all the rage this year. Every year there's like a different trend. Like a couple of years ago it was long range, and then like you've got these tiny little like 2.5 inch, not quite a camera drone, but sort of got guards on things. And then, we're up with rocket quads, aren't we? This year's trend is the rocket quad.
It seems to be, and it goes back much further than that, of course, when you had like the gimbal, the idea of this soft mounted motor. That was a good one. And yeah, a bunch of other stuff like that. Even the tilted motors, if everybody remembers. And yeah, now it's Rocket Quad. I thought when I first saw this, because it just popped up on an ad, I hadn't noticed it on their site or anything. I thought it was going to be some Eachine special, but apparently it says it's an iFlight thing.
Well, is it iFlight or is that an iFlight rendition of Chris Ross's thing? Because he's collaborated with iFlight in the past. So is that a Chris Rosser frame or an iFlight frame?
All the information I know is currently on the screen. and then I sent it to the group chat.
Let me see, because I remember Chris Rosser releasing some, HS5. That's the code name for Chris Rosser's one. Yeah. So it's already for sale from Unmanned Tech. If you want to go buying it, there. That's wow, £38. That's not bad, is it? It's not bad for a frame.
£38 because it says $130.99 on my screen.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the US, $500.
That says excluding VAT. I don't know why they've got an ex-VAT price, but even if you were to throw VAT on it, that's 50 quid. So that
that tariffs. Are we allowed to talk about tariffs?
That's the Trump tax, isn't it?
Yeah, like I received a message from Skystars, and he was talking. Are you guys going to talk about the tariffs? And I was like, we're British. We want no part in this.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a serious
Death of Empire things like 100 years ago, didn't we? And America's just rolling through their whole Death of Empire thing now.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty serious in terms of
Nintendo Switches
retailers in the States actually keeping afloat, because they're at the point like some people are already putting their prices up. And I know MadTech did a video about this is terrible, this is the worst thing ever. But I've got to say, I like 50-50. It's a grey area here because it's like if you sell all your stock off cheap or normal prices, then how can you replace it? So I almost think like put the prices up just to see if anyone has the appetite to buy at that price. And if they do, then maybe you can reorder it. But I don't think anybody's going to buy anything at the moment because the way that Trump goes, it's like, oh, I've changed the tax and I've done the tariff and I'm changing it again tomorrow. And it's like up, down, up, down, up, down. Or if you're my pension, like 30% wiped out or whatever. But hopefully it comes back.
Curry, you know that animated screen behind you?
Yes.
Why isn't there any Space Bear cutscenes in it? I'm deeply disappointed.
Because I haven't configured it yet because I did my unboxing and then I wanted to film setting up, but then my camera ran out of battery. But I found it's got this like attract mode, so that's what it's doing. It's also got this thing where you can make it respond to voices.
Oh, you got like a graphic equalizer of your voice.
Yeah.
Oh,
exciting stuff, and a reflection of this screen in there.
Excellent.
Weird thing is they're selling frames that are apparently defective, but it's quite cheap. I mean, would you give it a punt? I'd probably give it a punt. How wrong can you go with a bit of carbon?
It depends what the defect is. You know, we've got this quadcopter, but it's only got 3 arms. Is quite a big defect.
I'm counting to 4.
That looks all right. What's the
cosmetic defects? I mean, come on.
It's
not pretty. It's going to be much less than pretty after it hits the ground at over 100 mile an hour. I can tell you that much. So you've got 25 quid for that, and then I think the other parts were.
Okay, so that's the carbon bit, and then you want the dildo shaped thing.
And then you need the 3D prints as well. So there you are.
I mean, the cosmetic defects. I mean, does it really matter when it's? Who's going to see it when it's inside you?
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, unless there's a camera on it. I mean, you could get some bounce back, I suppose, bounce lighting.
You'll be glad to know I've put some pajamas on.
When did that happen?
Well, I stopped my camera, didn't I?
I didn't notice.
I will conduct a poll as to whether our audience are delighted or despairing.
Don't blame you.
You guys been out this week? The weather's been all right.
I've tried, but no one loves me.
Wait, you don't need anyone to love you to go out and fly something.
Oh, if only I could remember where I put the tiny violin.
Yeah, I know. I can 3D print one.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been working out in a disgusting image of some stupid self-help book. I've decided to do exercise instead of flying, and I'm feeling pretty good for it. So I should probably have done some flying because I'm on a flying related podcast, but it's really nice and sunny, and I didn't want to just stand in the field with sweaty goggles on.
Can be a bit
everything sweaty instead. Result.
That's another good thing. If I was rating goggles, the good old HD Zeros also come up very good on their fans. I've never got like lens
Designed
steam
by
up.
sweaty people for sweaty people.
Yeah. Not like the DJI Integras that I was using, because I'm like hiking 40 minutes into a forest, and I'm like, oh, all sweaty, and you put the goggles on.
Yeah,
All
the
right,
DJI Integras are like those cars with lots of fake air scoops that don't do anything. It looks like they've got a couple of massive air intakes, but it's all just molding. It doesn't do anything at all.
There's some little sort of noise that sounds like a fan, but it's like some like child from 50 feet away going. It's like, I can't really feel that.
They're just useless. The big box goggles, the V1 and V2, or goggles too, I can't remember. Anyway, the big ones, they actually had a decent fan in them, but then they made them a lot smaller, and I think they just kind of forewent a lot of the cooling.
It's a shame.
They'd be
Important
rubbish.
thing in the summer when you're just sweaty, and you get even sweatier when you put your goggles on.
I hear a boop.
But it's
Thank you,
Frank, just 5 minutes late.
Only 5 minutes late, Frank. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, no, turns out when a Domino's delivery lorry, or like Arctic type delivery lorry, and a bus have an argument on the road away from work, it makes it harder to get home.
Oh, yeah. Just loads of chavs trying to shovel pizza ingredients into their face, fighting each other.
Like crowds of people looting it for pizza. As
Yeah, everyone off the bus, into the lorry, disappearing into the streets. Yeah.
I think Domino's would appreciate that. The added business.
Well, they're not getting any money for it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yes, not entirely to plan.
I can't have a rest. I'm not allowed to go to hospital, be unwell, and leave. I was like, I've got to come on, or Curry doesn't like to be left on his own.
Well, what the fuck am I? Sliced meat? Come on.
To be fair, it helps you because he disappears like 10 to 20 minutes early.
Only 10. It is the final tonight, so I should be back in normal. I'd say normal, whatever. Well, I won't be going early, put it that way.
Stephen, I'd like to remind you that's a jab at him, not you. You're not meant to be the upset one here.
Alongside. That's the reason why my cats started sighing.
Copying you.
Yep. So, Frank, have you been flying?
I haven't been flying yet, but plans to go flying are materializing over the weekend. Potentially more than once. We'll find out. I'll report back next week. But in the Discord, over the past week, over the past few days even, Failsafe has posted in our Discord about FPV Drone Fest for this year.
Yes.
Which I thought was worth mentioning.
Was it? No, not Brighton.
Not Brighton. It's
coast.
Dover. White Cliffs of Dover. I don't think it's potentially at the White Cliffs, but it's definitely around Dover way.
I think if they do a punch out, it potentially will be by the White Cliffs.
Well, exactly. If you go far enough, but there is very tightly controlled airspace around Dover. They're still working on that, judging
Excellent
by their
wording,
announcement.
Frank.
Yeah. So FPV Drone Fest 2025, 8th to the 10th of August, dates subject to airspace approval is the announcement. So there we go. So it
I
sounds
posted a
like
link.
they've got
in-
their venue sorted, but they're still working on the permissions that you would need to fly in that airspace, which is very tightly controlled. But I mean, that is a very interesting venue. By the
They
sounds of
created
it,
a new Discord server for each year
What-
they do an event.
What is the venue? Can you give us
well,
any
that's
details?
they haven't announced it officially, but they've
Ah.
put some photos out, and you can work out whereabouts it is within the port of Dover. So that's the challenge.
It
The
sounds like a
readers
fun
at home.
guessing game, but I'm unfamiliar with the layout of
Crazy
Dover.
hacker.
I know there's some cliffs and there's some sea. Other than that, I'm in the dark.
It
Yeah.
sounds like Frank literally went out with a camera, possibly like a 360 on a pole, and just walked around Dover in circles of increasing radius after he had the announcement. And now he's put it together.
yeah. But yeah, I'll be interested to hear the full details when they're announced. But that's at least something to put in the calendar, especially as it is the weekend before LDO's 10th anniversary episode. So there's a fair chance that Cole will be over in the UK. And then there's that event on, which is like a sort of
Yeah.
one-off chance to go flying in that particular bit of airspace. So
Oh, classic, Frank. Great job.
Mm.
That's what I was thinking as well. For all you viewers, it was this point that Frank's internet decided to completely crap the bed.
I'd like to remind it that that's my job.
In my calendar for August 2025, I have possible LDO thing down for the 9th and 10th. Is
Really?
that still a thing? Yeah.
oh yes,
It's
that was
later
when
than
we.
that.
That is when we originally said we were going to do LDO no, and then
Oh no, not
multiple
again.
LDO no, not again. Yes, but then it seems like multiple FPV events have been organised for that weekend.
Could
so
we get an
we
LDO
haven't actually
gazebo
organised
at one
anything.
of these events? Preferably a gazebo with 3 or 4 broken legs that's made mainly out of tape.
That's definitely doable. I definitely
Yes.
have one of those.
That would be fitting.
Um,
Flag stapled across it.
I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this, but Digby Dan has a medical grade trailer with batteries
Medical grade.
for us. Yes.
What's a medical grade trailer? Is it like
Yeah.
You
something
mean
you
a stretcher?
can carry patients
A
on?
hospital bed? It's a
Is
hospital
it an
bed, isn't
ambulance?
He's nicked a hospital bed. He's like,
Danny, listed. Can you send me some photos?
nicked a hospital
Um,
bed and he's put a fucking tow hook on it, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's like proper. It was we've done some automotive. Can you say automotive? We've done some archaeology on it and discovered that it was a purpose-built COVID test trailer, and it
right.
had
Fresh.
like
Spicy.
it's had its air positive air pressure like filter thing removed. That's gone, and the biological fridges have been removed, but everything else is still intact.
Well, I imagine you're so keen to be near that.
Dan, text me. Dan's
Okay.
listening. Dan's listening. Hang on.
That sounds like the worst place to hang
Did someone
around.
get in
It's like,
touch with
this
you,
is
Jack,
useful.
and go, as someone immunocompromised, would you like to visit my dirty medical grade, possibly human waste trailer?
Yes.
Yeah. Wear proper shoes because the needles were a bit pointy.
Yeah.
No, mate.
But this is, Jack is someone who decided to go to the sewer to fly his drone. So, he's got form for this.
Form. Got form.
Okay.
Well, it looks clean.
Yeah.
What is the
They,
purpose of said trailer?
closed
What
it down.
would it be used for? Is it mobile gazebo? Is this what we're talking about?
Well, I just thought Fraser,
Did you? Did
Frank, wedge
you think
some
you're
stuff in
overstating
there.
what happened?
Portable TV-ness. I'll send the photos to Frank so that he can
This is,
display
I feel
them.
like this is Jack's Airbnb on wheels for all
Yeah.
events. The other event that has been announced for that same weekend
Mobile podcast studio. That's the word I was looking for. That is the term.
Okay.
Has Wi-Fi and CCTV.
Okay. The other event has been announced for that same weekend.
So it's not a
10th of
medical
August.
trailer. Let's just clear this up because I think I was being rude there.
Was.
It's not a medical trailer. It's now a mobile podcast studio, and there is no. Its history has been excised.
Yes.
So is it like a challenge podcast where we all sit in it while it goes over speed bumps and we try and do the show or something?
No.
Oh my god, are you a television executive? Christ, that was
No.
great.
Not with those metal workbenches, mate. You crack your head on one of them.
We'll just nerf the edges with like foam or something.
Yeah,
if you'd like to donate some pool
We're on
noodles
tour
to
winner.
LDO.
to a winner, guys.
Right, Frank, mute us all.
No,
And
no, no.
then-
You carry
Sorry,
on.
What's
what
the
were you
other event
saying?
going on, Frank? Tell us your knowledge.
Yep, is the Wings Over the Valley, which is the Valley Flyers in South Wales, hosting some wing racing, which I've been to. Almost all of these that they've done in previous years, and they have been great fun. I highly recommend them. Caroline Tyler was the last one as well. It's a great event. Very, very friendly people. I mean, they constantly feed you. It is great. Highly recommend it.
So which
But
one are you
yes.
going to, Frank?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because I was like, I'm definitely going wing racing, and then it was like, Cole's coming over, and it's FPV Drone Fest. Maybe that's where we're going to end up. So I will.
Well, we should let Cole
neither
know
of
that it's all his responsibility. We'll be sure to tell him when he next turns up.
yeah, exactly. When he lets us know when he's coming, we'll know. Also, the other thing is FPV Drone Fest. I don't think, as far as I can tell, isn't like 100% confirmed because they're still working on the airspace, so they're not selling tickets. And I feel like there's going to be a rush on tickets. I imagine there'll be limited spaces because it's an FPV event, and therefore you can only have so many people before it becomes a problem.
I mean, that's something that you say. It's not generally something that a lot of event organisers necessarily subscribe to, because we are now living in post-fact territory, Frank.
Yeah. Okay. Well, also, I mean, it's less of a problem if you're confident that almost everyone is on DJI, right? Like, because it seems like they can use more frequencies at once.
I'll be fine.
Yeah, I will be now.
Yeah.
Now that I have my
money
DJI V2. Yeah. Do we know how O4 plays with previous versions? Like, I mean, DJI is known for being quite rude and stomping over everything else.
I would say like
Is
an
that-
angry parent with an urge to slap.
Hmm.
Probably. That's what I'd say. Based on prior DJI experience, as you ascertained, it will probably just beat the living shit out of anything that's older than it because it's new and shiny.
Yeah, it will just be like, I take priority until the next thing comes along. Yeah. That's what I figured. So me with my V2s, I'm going to have the same problem that I had at the last one with my analog stuff, yeah?
Well, I mean, even the DJI 03 stuff did have problems if you're in an environment where there were a lot of other digital systems. I flew someone's Kiss Ultra quad when it just absolutely carked it and fell out the sky because
Who would that
the
be?
DJI Link went.
Can't imagine
Well, it's
anyone
on
with Kiss
DJI.
Ultra quads falling out the sky.
Well, no, I was trying someone's very nice build, but unfortunately slightly cursed on the flight controller side. But yeah, but because there was a setting where it was locked to a specific channel and it didn't automatically move channels, someone just jumped on it and boof, it's down the same way as analog would be down. A lot of the DJI stuff, it'll do channel hopping, but there was a setting with the 03 where you'd lock it to a channel, and that was supposed to be the sensible way to use it until it isn't, of course, because fundamentally, if you're all digital, you just pour as many people into the airspace as you can, and everything just reorganizes its channels dynamically, which works perfectly until you run out of slots.
Until it doesn't.
Yeah, until you run out of slots, and then And the number of slots is very hypothetical because someone could be using 80 megahertz, someone else could be using 20 megahertz. So it's all just
Yeah. I mean, it's fine for the control stuff, right? Where you've got effectively 100 and something channels that everything can hop between. But yeah,
I mean, Andy,
FPV.
you're assuming that people in this hobby are fiscally responsible, and I think you fall at the first hurdle with that assumption. Because I've been in a bando with people flying O3s through it and going, "Oh my god, it's amazing! Oh shit, I've just killed another O3."
Mhm.
So
what Andy was saying was you will find most people not flying O3 or O4 on a Basher due to the cost. They will be on O2 and Walk Snail. I'm not sure what his point is, though.
well, the O2 system, the 50 megabit channel, everything was just a bit less likely to. I think it was you'd lock it to a certain channel, it wouldn't dynamically jump around, and the bandwidth was lower. You didn't with O3, you got an option to use more bandwidth, so essentially more slots.
Mm.
The 50 megabit, I think, roughly equated to a 40 megahertz channel width, and the 25 megabit was a 20 megahertz channel width. And O3 can go up to 80 megahertz channel width.
Oh.
So that's bad. That's basically half your 5.8 gone for one pilot.
Yeah.
I use this funky setting called auto, which could take all the bandwidth for everything. But I'm literally a soul man, creepy little person in the woods jumping out at people.
It is
So,
the
I'm
challenge is multiple people flying together, right? Like one person, you just need the noise floor to be low enough, and you need enough power on from your transmitter and a good enough receiver to pick it up. Those are the three things you need when you got one person. When you got two people, you just need the spacing between them to be enough.
You need to trust the other person. That's first and foremost, because you can agree as many things as you want. But if you say, I'm on channel 1, and they're like, yeah, okay. And then they just like go onto channel 1 without even thinking. It happens.
Yeah, that is true.
They're like, oh, hello, feet.
Everyone powering up before you take off is a good thing. That is definitely convenient. But then to go more than two people, then it gets slightly more complicated, right? And this is, I think, where it quite often ends up being sort of slightly misunderstood, and that's definitely where we sort of were for a long time. Was like you kind of imagine, oh, I've been flying with my buddy, and as long as we're at least a channel apart or two channels on the old Fat Shark stuff, it's all fine. As long as everyone is on odds or everyone is on evens, it'll all work out all right. And then you start adding more people and it starts all going a bit weird, and people get poor signal and bleed over and everything. And you're like, well, you must have a terrible transmitter. You must have broken your antenna. You must be bleeding out over everything. And you look at the RF plot, the RF Explorer, if you've got one of those, and like, no, every
harmonic distortion.
Spectrum analyzer, exactly. And then you end up, oh no, it's the IMD, it's the side channels, it's the ghost channels, the phantom channels that appear when you have multiple transmissions. And then
there's
it's
a name
okay
for them, isn't there?
It's just like a pink harmonic on the guitar.
Harmonics.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so then it's like, oh, okay, for every two that you're using, it ends up using two more either side of that. And so you very quickly have used up all your channels. So that's where we ended up. And this is, from Oscar Lang's recommendations, and then what we've tried out in the wild. If you use the race band equivalent of channels 1 and 3 for your analog, and you use your race bands 7 and 8 for your digital, you can get 4 people up fairly easily. And so you end up actually having sort of phantom stuff on 2 and 4, and even on like
The one good thing about going digital here is that it was kind of designed around this problem to try and saturate that bandwidth with as much Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever it was as possible. So they tend to be a bit more resistant, and it'll just discard instead of knock out someone else's signal. It kind of works.
You don't have the good old fun of analog where you think everyone's right because everybody starts. You've got a picture, yeah, it's just me. And then what happens is someone goes out far and then the other person goes close to you.
Yes.
And then you just get your feed, their feed. And they're like, help, I don't know where I am. And then it crosses over all the time.
And that's a factor of your video receiver, right? That is what we learnt at the races, is that it's the quality of your video receiver is going to be what determines how far you need that exclusion zone around you. So if you've got people on like really, really cheap, nasty goggle modules in the old Fat Sharks, you're going to need a bigger exclusion zone than if you've got the really nice FR632s that you have on a tripod, even slightly further away, that's got all the nice good heat sinks and voltage control and does all the nice things in there to make sure that it is able to select just the frequency you're trying to pick up. But then digital, I imagine, is going to, definitely our experience can go like the step further because it is being digital about it, and it's not trying to pick up every little fluctuation in the voltage. It knows what it should be receiving. It can do a bit more filtering, and so it can say, I'm getting exactly this channel, and you don't have to worry about it. Because ultimately the antenna has to be able to pick up all the channels, and it's the receiver that is tuning to one particular one, and it's how well it rejects the channels that you're not interested in at that particular moment that has to determine that exclusion zone around you. But you've also got the problem of the goggles emitting stuff, which then means you still need that exclusion zone.
I think this, from memory, that comes down to things with digital TV you use, and I think it's the same with the goggles that we've got. You've got QAM, quad something amplitude modulation, which is the signal encoding. They're basically running multiple signals over the same bandwidth at the same time, and they try and saturate it to the point where the Huffman encoded output is, saturating the available signal to noise ratio that you've got in the space. And there you are. So the transmitted signal is not just a single carrier wave; it's just a bunch of carrier waves all summed together.
Well, what I mean is, if your goggles aren't transmitting and you only have to worry about all the other VTXs around you, then you only need, like, if you've got a really, really good receiver, a really good VRX that can pick up your channel and your channel only, you're heading off, Curry.
Yep. See you guys later.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye, Curry. Give my love
curry,
to
curry.
the wife.
I had curry tonight. It was good.
Wait.
Pet Papa Don for me.
Nice.
Tell Papa Don I love her.
Yeah, so the way digital's used, the point I was trying to make, it's like the way they encoded it, it's based on the assumption that there's going to be competition for the spectrum, because it's designed for things like mobile phones, for Wi-Fi, for Bluetooth, for environments where you've got as many people as possible all jammed into a space, and you just want to keep everyone online. So it's a bit more resistant, that makes it inherently hostile for someone who needs the purity of an analog signal, because the digital components are basically jostling for every piece of the signal to noise ratio they can get their hands on to transmit as much data as they possibly can. And the analog client is just assuming that they will have a noise-free slot that they can send their signal on, and it'll come out the other end as they sent it. Whereas the digital clients are just like, well, let's just put overlays of our signal in as many different ways as we can, and then we'll try and pull out some version of the signal with as much precision as possible at the other end, and then render it in such a way that you still have a usable image. And that usable image can get pretty rough before it becomes unflyable. Whereas an analog pilot would be like, oh, this is wonderful. It seems that I've got rotating black lines every quarter screen, and I can't see it.
Yeah, because then you've also got the issue of, if you're an analog pilot flying with digital systems around you, you've got the noise floor has been lifted just by the virtue of there being goggles splurging out stuff next to you. So that's already lifted the noise floor a bit. And you don't even, like you say, you don't have to lose the signal. You just need enough noise for your video receiver to lose that timing signal of when that next field starts. And if it can't reliably pick that up, you're going to get that rolling image. Your color's going to go weird. Like all of that stuff is going to start falling apart.
I am interested in seeing if OpenIPC, and I'm guessing OpenIPC is going to be followed by something similar, because that tends to be the nature of a project, if they can actually make use of the really, really cheap hardware. Because I recently started looking at some security cameras, like wanted to, put some cameras around the house, and you can get them for so little money, like 30 quid for something with a Wi-Fi receiver and the camera. And it's got a whole load of plastic casing and stuff as well. I'm like, wow, how do they even kick them out at this price? That's comparable to saying, I'm going to buy like an analog VTX and a camera. 30 quid, it's not bad money. If they can make it work at that price point, then it should be accommodating to people who are finding that analog flying in groups is becoming, more of a problem as time goes on. But it needs a bit more democratizing, I think. We're not quite at the point where it's accessible to everyone. We've got Runcam and Cadex, was it, jumping on board? Runcam and Emacs, that was it. Runcam and Emacs jumping on board. They just need to be a weeny bit more mature. And I keep remembering back, like, when did I say it's 18 months out? And I think it was the last time we talked to OpenHD and we talked to OpenIPC, and I was like, this looks very prototype. I think that's at least a year ago now. So I'm hoping, like, fingers crossed, end of the summer, things start to look more like a product and less like a lab bench.
Yeah, I mean, it already looks fairly producty. Whether it acts producty is yet to be decided.
Jesus Christ, you're really loud, Frank, all of a sudden.
I think he just got enthusiastic. That's the sound of enthusiasm, Jack. I just turned down the dial on my headphone out.
I know. I was like, what the hell? Like, you've been absolutely fine, Frank. And then all of a sudden...
we just got him. We got him.
You were in my head.
Nerve.
You were ear fucking me. I know. I think it's the automatic
talking about VTXs and digital, and suddenly he was just...
That's right. Frank is awokened.
I was going to say, my other tech noodlings have been ridiculous headphones, which I'm wearing right now. I decided to indulge in some planar magnetic in-ear headphones.
Ooh.
So these are the 7 Hertz Timeless, which I got from what they're calling Chi-Fi company, Chinese audio manufacturers who are just throwing huge, great plates of audio spaghetti at walls and seeing what sticks.
That is generally the development process, right? Like, I mean, that is the culture in like Shenzhen and all of that. Is you find things and you put them together and you try and sell it, and if it works, it's almost a genetic algorithm. You just whatever sells, you make more of those.
They even came with a box of like not unreplaceable nozzles. So each of these is like, you've got a transducer, and it's got a foam ear tip I put on there. And it's got a plug that's detachable, which I like because I break wires a lot, so I can replace the wires.
Until the plug doesn't work.
The ear tip, it's got a nozzle on there, which has got a filter in there, and you can actually change that to alter the characteristics of the sound to, let more treble through or less treble and blah blah. Sounds a bit like a gimmick, but maybe I'll get around to looking at it. I found a box of similar filters with a bunch of earphones that just broke, and realized that I thought it was a good idea, but left them in the box for 2 years until the earphones broke.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not fun.
Stuff happens. Yeah, so I actually have a suit.
We've got spam in the chat. We must
full
be
of
exciting.
info tips.
Have we got sex bots?
I don't
Bring
think
on
it's
the
sex bots.
sex bots.
Shimber.
Oh no, we've just got Zoe.
Oh,
She's a nerd.
Zoe. Zoe comes and Zoe brings the sex bots.
Yeah, I know, Zoe.
How'd you
It's,
do
it's
it?
on.
You'd
It's on.
announced
Secret.
something.
On Twitch.
Oh,
We've got spam. We've got emblematic transaction 2. Is posting
Oh,
links in our
thanks, Zoe.
Twitter chat.
She's-
Twitch
Zoe
chat,
says she
rather.
loves us all. Awesome.
Ah,
Thank you, Zoe.
So, Frank shouted at me for not being a good
I
advocate
think
of
that
the FPV hobby. You didn't shout at me. I know. Frank, don't look at that.
this isn't
I
true
think
at
that
all.
all this is saying
it's
is
not
that
true.
Twitch is kind of a swamp because we don't
It
actually
is.
have anyone interacting at all from Twitch. The only thing we've got is, Dreams Are Fragile, whoever that is.
That's me.
Weirdo. Poland
Polaris.
Polar Nights. We've got 2
Yeah.
people on Twitch and a spammer. So that's like 30% of the Twitch audience are spammers.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh well. So I don't think that's going to be our the place.
Let's get
where
to
we
the
spend lots
heart of the
time there.
periphery.
Yeah.
Zoe comments that the tariffs are going to heavily impact the sex bot industry. You thought we were going to talk about FPV, but no, straight to the heart of the periphery. That's what's really
So-
going to, I think Trump supporters are going to really feel it, to be honest, if they can't buy their, imported realistic F toys. We'll see how it goes.
Zoe, what was your you done a out of limits announcement the other day? I wondered what it was. Can't find it. I don't know. Nope, I give up. I have no
Zoe,
idea.
I think Jack wants to know how your frames and whatnot are going. Wasn't she
Do
doing
I?
frames? She had a whole bunch of frames. I remember frames with Raspberry Pis strapped onto them and all sorts. I was fascinated, and then it was just, I'm not sure whether I got a prototype phase. That would be pretty awesome to see.
No, I have not kept up with it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm worried. Sorry, I'm trying to defend us from sex bots.
You just got to slap them out of the way. Just slap them out of the way. Just
I will report.
oh, they're going great. Zoe FUV says it's going great. There's nothing wrong.
Excellent.
The world is not burning down around me. So excellent. Well done, Zoe. Good to hear.
Yep. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, the struggle sounds decidedly real, but we wish you all the best luck in the world, and we hope it goes good. Don't show that, Ed. Just turn that crap. What the fuck, you? Get out of there. Who did that? Is that your side hustle now, Jack?
Yeah,
Was that you?
Oh, dear.
yeah, it was.
Sweet.
I couldn't help myself. I thought it'd be funny. I shouldn't
You're the
encourage
reason
it.
we can't have nice things, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, how they haven't developed something to automatically figure this out, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a difficult
like
problem.
the first time someone turns up and just posts a URL with a bunch of crap in it.
The difference between genuine interaction and spam is unfortunately slim for most of
marginal.
the internet.
Mhm.
So I think that
Slim
tells you
version
more
of
about
negligible.
most user interactions than it does about the spam, I think.
Yeah,
But we have a very friendly community here.
Well, there you are. If you're
coming
looking
here
for
and
a
interacting.
jobby job, someone who does job-related things in a job manner with professional job-style skills, Zoe FPV is looking for a job. We know she can fly upside down and the right way up, and can solder things and design things and CAD things and talk to a camera and explain things and race things very fast. These are all skills.
And organize freestyle events.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
Project management.
Yeah.
Project management,
extra,
product
set
delivery,
of skills.
stakeholder
All the
management.
things.
Yeah.
Can
all of
I
that.
can I add something? At the end of the show, Zoe, are you all right with the C word, or does it offend you heavily? Because I want to use it.
Just hi, Jack. We're doing so well.
What?
Because she had the ability to not be that word on Rotor Riot. That's a triumph in itself.
Right.
Frank,
Okay.
you're right.
Yeah.
Deep breath, Frank.
Yep.
Woosa.
back to
Breathe in
being
bullshit. Breathe out calm. Breathe in bullshit. Breathe out calm.
17 more hours.
Is that it? You counted down the hours.
17 hours.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to put up with my bullshit anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Are you going to be like hitting that eject seat like a fighter pilot?
Yeah, man. He's not going to care about neck injuries. He's just going to grab that lever as fast as he can.
I know.
He doesn't care if he walks out this show 6 inches shorter. Doesn't matter.
I don't need
if he can't
cartilage
even,
in my
if he's
spine.
just like that the whole time and he can't even look anyone in the eye, he'll be fine.
It's just a way to make sure that Peter's paying attention. I just leave him a little dog poo to step in at the end. That was all. It wasn't to stress you out, Frank. You know I don't like stressing a Frank out.
You don't like to, but yet.
I do it anyway. I know. It's terrible.
Sooner or later, it's going to be fine. You know, there's going to be a technology that enables us to reach through the internet and slap Jack round the face.
we need more pyro. That's what we need. We need to have the control of the pyro behind Jack, around Jack, with his buckets of acetone and isopropanol.
Yeah, right. The unlabeled ones. Oh, you've got labels on them. Oh, you spoiled yourself. I remember you used to have 2 squeezy bottles. It's like one of these is water and one of these is acetone.
This is ice. Yeah.
This one has no label. This one's specially Stephen. Is it flammable? Let's find out. Oh, yes.
Yes, that one is.
That's not the water one. Is anything else? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, hang on. Let me just. Oh.
Oh, dear.
Shit, that's on fire as well. Oh. No,
at least that one burns with a colourful flame.
Someone send us a donation. Please, look, the guy is losing his deposit on his carpet. Not necessarily because of you, but certainly to help you. Please, please, please be a wonderful Patreon. Join the scrolling list of wonderful people that take pity on Jack and his poor carpet.
I definitely broke rule 0 on that one.
Yeah. Rule 0, do not be on fire. Yes, thank you all our patrons for keeping this online, keeping this going, and keeping the edited audio-only version hitting all the RSS feeds on Sunday afternoon. Oh my goodness.
It's okay, there's a lid. It's got a lid.
The lid is plastic, Jack.
Before Jack sets fire to his entire flat, this is going to be the end of this week's show. Thank you for watching Let's Drone Out, episode 503 out of 520. Join us again next week when Jack will maybe be broadcasting from somewhere else that isn't on fire. Join in to find out.
Join us for the next show where Jack will be wrapped entirely in cooling gel.
Yeah. It's flammable, inflammable. I get those two mixed up.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye and good luck. Don't be on fire.